But there isn't enough space for my men down there, Captain. They're crowded in now, and I got 2 squads left over.
I know. See me later, will you?
Sir, the water in this town isn't fit to drink. They told me they were going to send up some fresh water, but they haven't.
Yeah, they told me that, too.
Captain, sir, I've been trying to issue new uniforms like you told me, but I haven't got
Look,
enough.
Sergeant,
Well, I'm sorry, sir, but I haven't got enough pants.
Oh, my. Look, I'm sorry. You men will have to catch me later, huh? Yeah? Major, I've seen some pretty crazy things since I've been in the Army, but this is the topper.
What's the matter, Tom?
4 days ago, we pulled into this town, and I've been trying to get my company straightened out ever since. I've got 2 cooks in the hospital, 8 men AWOL, the drinking water's gone sour, and I've got 1 platoon without any pants. Major, I'm a busy guy.
Well, any good company commander's a busy guy.
Well, that's all right. That's my job. But then they come along and throw this education program at us. I'm sorry, Major. I've got a company to run.
You think you got troubles? I thought I was a busy guy, too. New training schedules to lay out, policing details, billeting arrangements, and then they hit me with this educational program. Classes all over the place. Everything from geometry to dairy farming. You come to me for sympathy?
Well, when you see what I mean, it just isn't possible.
Oh, I'm not so sure about that.
Look, Major, I think education's a fine thing. I'm all for it. But don't ask me to do anything about it. Not right now.
You know, Tom, I felt the same way you do. But last night, we had a meeting with the old man.
Gentlemen, I think you all know Major Richards. He's been assigned to my staff as regimental education officer to help us get underway with this Army education program. Personally, I'm glad he's here, because we have a new kind of job on our hands. This regiment has just come out of a tough scrap. What happens now? The men begin to relax. Some of them want to get drunk and tear up the goalposts and get home. Well, you and I know there's still a war going on and our country's still in it. Some of the men in this outfit will be declared surplus and returned home as soon as transportation is available. Meanwhile, they'll have time on their hands. And I don't have to tell you we'll have problems of morale and discipline, and close order drill is not the answer. They tried that after the last war, and the men went over the hill in droves. We're all proud of our outfit. We don't want to see that happen. I think the War Department has given us the answer in this Army education program. It's an educational program to begin training the men for civilian life. Am I right, Major?
Yes, sir. That is correct. Now, part of it's going to be classroom work, using instructors, textbooks, and motion pictures. But a lot of it will be practical training right on the job. You see, there are 2 broad objectives: vocational training and general education. There'll also be organized athletics, amateur dramatics, music, and so forth. Those men who are eligible can participate on duty time, or they can continue with their full-time military duties. If a man decides to take part, he can choose any phase of the program that interests him most. He'll be guided in this choice by his officers. Now, like any other training program, this one depends on the responsibility and initiative of the company officers. We're going to try to see that they get started right by sending them to a school for officers and key non-coms. They'll get the general outline of the program and also enough instructions so they can really help their men. When they return to their outfits, they'll hold informal platoon meetings and explain the program to the men. After that, each man who is interested will be given an individual interview to make sure that he's going to get the most out of what the program offers. That's where the officer can use his good common sense and the instruction we've given him. If he runs into any snags on any individual problem, well, that's why I'm here. He can bring his educational problem to me just as he would bring a health problem to the surgeon. Now, when we, on the staff, get the consolidated list of the courses the men want to take, we'll have to lay out schedules, find classrooms, equipment for on-the-job training, and instructors. For instructors, by the way, we're going to use the men best qualified, officers or enlisted men. For instance, a good motor transport sergeant may teach a course in mechanics. Maybe the colonel here will teach a course in American history with the help of a good outline prepared by experts. Now, most of the men will be taken care of right here in our unit school. But later on, the men who qualify for specialized training or college courses may be sent to centralized technical schools or university centers. But the backbone of the program is the unit school. That's right in our laps, gentlemen. That's our headache. But it's also our job.
I'm glad the Major isn't trying to kid us, because I can see there'll be headaches for us, and plenty of them for the company officers. But the Major's right. They're the key men as they always have been. The company commanders will still run their company, with fatigue details and enough close order drill to keep their outfit sharp and so on. I will have to find ways for him to rotate his headquarters and overhead personnel so they can get in on this too. That'll be easier for this regiment than it would be for a quartermaster outfit or a signal battalion. We'll all have our own special problems. But I think they can be licked, and I certainly think they're worth licking if it means that after the war, our men will return to civilian life better equipped. It's a big job and a tough job, but I know we can do it. We train these men for war, we can train them for peace.
Well, there you are. It's right in our laps.
Well, I don't know, Major. When it comes to telling a man what he ought to study, that's pretty serious business.
Well, you're damn right it's serious.
I'm afraid it's not up my alley.
Why not?
Well, I'm a company commander. I don't know anything about education. After all, I'm not an educator.
You weren't a company commander once, either. I remember when you hit Camp Roberts. I remember the day you took over your first platoon. You were pretty nervous that day. You were green and your bars were gold. You weren't too sure of yourself. But one thing you did know. These were your men. And it was your responsibility to train them for a hell of a tough job. You had to teach them a job you didn't know too much about yourself. But somebody had to teach them. It had to be done. So you did it. You trained them. You sweated with them, lived with them, and taught them. You made soldiers out of them. Then one day you got a company of your own. You'll never forget the day you took over B Company, and you know it. $194 men. Your men. Yours because they were your responsibility. You were father and mother and judge, yes, and school teacher. Tough? You're damn right it was tough. Training in the field all day. Paperwork at night. And then study. Study so you'd be able to teach those men of yours everything they ought to know. So that when they went into combat, they'd have every bit of skill and training that you could give them. Well, you did a good job. The job your men did proves that. Training that company was an educational job. Sure. Teaching people something that they didn't know before, that's education. And whether you like it or not, you're a pretty good educator.
That was a different proposition, though. We had a definite objective then, kill or be killed. I could see it, and I could make my men see it. After all, our lives are at stake.
Well, they're still at stake, aren't they?
How? What do you mean?
The rest of our lives, from here on in. It's a pretty long time, the rest of a man's life. And it's very important to him.
Sure it is, but...
Look, Tom, what are the men in your company talking about?
They're talking about home.
Yeah. And what they're going to do when they get there. Sure, you'll hear it every place. In the bars, the billets, in the hospitals.
I keep saying I want to go home, but I don't know what the hell I'm going to do when I get there.
I've been trying to figure it out some way, so maybe we can have a farm of our own when I get back.
You see, I never had a job before. Where do you start looking?
Sure. I want to finish law school, but I've forgotten most of what I learned.
There ain't gonna be any jobs for guys like me.
That's Sergeant Blake, Tom. That platoon sergeant of yours. The man you couldn't do without. The man that took over your assault platoon when Bricker got hit back there in the river crossing. How would you like to see him without a job?
I wouldn't like it.
Well, that's the new objective, Tom. To see that Sergeant Blake does get a job. Naturally, you can't write him a personal guarantee that he's going to get a job. But then back in training, you didn't guarantee him that he'd come out of combat alive either. All you said was that the man with the best weapons and the best training had the odds on his side.
Then what this really adds up to is a job training program.
Well, yes, that's part of it. And it's important because a man's life starts there. But then there's a lot more things to a man's life than just working at a job. And that's why this program includes general education and training for citizenship.
The men in my company have a word for things like that, Major. It's a short, dirty word.
Look, Tom, in basic training, your men learned their job. They learned their weapons and how to use them. But that didn't make soldiers of them. They had to learn a lot of other things. How to get along with other men. Pride in the outfit. Pride in themselves. Pride in their leaders. Pride in the job they were doing. And when the heat was on, those things paid off. Your men were part of a fighting outfit, ready to face anything together and lick it. Good citizenship? Well, hell, Tom, that's just pride in the outfit. Morale in your own backyard. Being able to get along with other people. Knowing that you can mark that X on your ballot where it'll do you the most good. And general education, well, it's just learning more about living, that's all. So that you can sit home with a wife and read a couple of books instead of throwing them at each other. And those things are just as important in the job of living as the kind of work you do. And they'll pay off when it comes to licking the problems that's going to face us in the next couple of years. Biggest damn problems in this country ever faced. Everything from jobs to world peace.
Well, it's a big idea. But do you think it'll work?
It won't work by itself. You've got to make it work. Because the men in your company are still your men. You remember the first thing we learned back at Benning? Follow me. Your men followed you in training. And they followed you in action. And whether you like it or not, they're going to follow you the rest of your life. You'll never be able to forget them. The ones who aren't going home. And the ones who are. 10 years from now, you'll be telling your kid about Sergeant Blake. About the time on the river crossing, when the lieutenant got hit and Blake took over. How he led that platoon in an attack that saved the whole damn company. And when your kid asks you, what's he doing now, Pop? What are you gonna say? I don't really know, son. I never heard from him. Or are you gonna be able to say, he's doing a job, son. He's doing it well and he likes it. They're all doing a job. Every one of them. They're all part of the outfit. It's a new outfit now, a bigger outfit. We call it America.